During this class, we are going to start protecting our routes using Laravel Passport. Of course, that is going to be the API routes, but we are not going to protect all of them in the way that we are going to do during this class. Along this class, we are going to use the client credentials grant to protect our routes. It means that any kind of client, independently if it has the user permission or not, can access the routes. It means that we are going to provide access to these specific routes for whatever client that we have, and we don't need anything related with the user. Of course, not all the routes will accomplish with the requirements because, of course, many routes need to be protected depending on the type of user or if the user is the owner or something like that, as we are going to see in future classes. But there are any other routes that can be, let's just say, publicly accessible, but we don't want to provide access to everyone in the world. We just want to provide access to our own clients, which we verified previously. And that is the good definition of client credentials. So to use client credentials with Passport, we need to define a new middleware. In fact, we don't need to create it, just to register and use it in the routes that we want to protect with that specific grant type. So let's register first the middleware. Again, as you may know, it is in the kernel file in the HTTP folder. And that middleware is going to be called client.credentials. The definition of this middleware comes from Laravel Passport HTTP The definition of this middleware comes from Laravel Passport HTTP middleware, and the name is check client credentials. Now what we are going to do is to use this specific middleware in the controllers that we want to protect with this. So basically the logic is this. We are going to provide publicly client access to the routes related with categories, products, and the routes that want and the routes that provide us access to register a new user and resend the email to validate the email of a user. So for example, routes to obtain the list of categories or a specific category or the categories of a product, the list of products, etc. So let's just start with this, with the category controller. We are going to remove the parent call and we are going to use a new middleware that is called client credentials. Client credentials do not receive any kind of parameters, so we just need to specify where to act. In our case, we want to protect only the index and show methods that are the methods that show details about a category. Now we are going to protect a new route, that is the route that allows us to obtain the products of a category, so it comes from category product controller. In this case, it is going to protect only the index method. Then we are going to protect the products controller with both the index and show methods. Then the controller that allows us to obtain the categories of a product, that is product category controller, only in the index method. Then the route that allows us to obtain the categories of a transaction, again only for the index method. And finally, but not less important, the roots that allow us to create a user, it means the store method in the user controller, and to resend an email, it means the resend method, both of them in the user controller. Again, we don't need the parent construct call, so we just need to call this for store and resend. After this, we have completely protected these routes using the client credentials. Of course, the other routes are not currently protected, but as we are going to see later, this is going to be protected with a very restrictive middleware that needs not only the access from the client credentials, it needs only permissions from an existing user of our system. So, in the next class, we are going to see what changed now with these new protected routes, and of course, how to have any proper authorization for this. So, see you in the next class.